Hey everybody, it's Mystics here and welcome back to another Monster Hunter video. And today, oh my god, it is so exciting. So last night, at least from the time that I'm recording this, Capcom has released a bunch of new trailers. And we also had the digital event last night going through more info and details about Monster Hunter Stories 2 and also Monster Hunter Rise, and they give us a whole bunch of information. And so today in this video we are going through all of them, giving sort of like a summary and then also diving into certain little details that we have discovered since then. So in today's video we are going through details specifically from Monster Hunter Rise alone. For Stories 2, I think I'll do that in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. So, without further ado, let's just jump right in. So, starting off with the trailer, right off the bat, we already get two new announcements. Zenoga and Nagakuga are making a comeback in this game, which is amazing. And, you know, honestly, we kind of expected them to come back because their armors just fit in with the whole Japanese theme. Now I can't really say much for Nagakuga because I haven't really fought him that much in World, so I don't know his movesets very well. But for Zenoga, we can clearly see two new moves already. So in the scene with the Greatsword player, we see him guarding against some thunder strikes that Zenoga managed to summon forth in a straight line in front of it. That is a move that I didn't get to see in WoW, but maybe it's available in the older games, but I wouldn't know. And then in the next scene with the same Greatsword player, he does sort of like a Shuriken style of attack, which I find is really cool. And you know, with the effects of all the lightning around it, it is amazing. And after that we get to see some footage of the hunter riding a Zenoga and fighting against Nagakuga. Now in this part where the narrative begins, I really like the art style of the whole thing. The whole calligraphy kind of drawing, it really does fit in with the whole theme. I wanted to say that these are the monster icons that we'll get to see, but we have seen Bishaten's monster icon before and that is not how it looks like. But regardless, the drawings still look really good. And then also Gauss Hara with a sword and shield player, and as you can see, it is actually a new move that we haven't seen before. So the hunter, they actually managed to guard against the attack, and then using a wire bar, they jump straight up into the sky and plunge straight back down with the shield, much like another Shuriken. So maybe this is like a Street Fighter inspired thing. But regardless, it looks really cool. So if we take a look over on the website for Monster Hunter Rise, you actually get to read up on a little bit more detail about what the Silk-By move was. So for this new move, it's apparently called Metso Shurikey, a jumping wire bar attack that uses your shield to uppercut your target. At the beginning of the attack, there is a moment where you can perform a guard. A well-timed counter can further add to the damage dealt. So based on the description, there is a guard point mechanic to this, and if you manage to guard point using this Silk-By move, you can do a little bit more damage. I'm not sure if the damage is only applied to this Silk-By alone, or if it's like a temporary attack buff. So that's something that we'll have to test out when the game releases. I say we, but I don't actually play the Sword and Shield, so hopefully one of you guys will let me know. And then in the next scene, we see a hunting horn with a new Silk-By move as well. Now this one, they have named it the Beat of Resonance. So what it does is that it places a wirebug cocoon on the ground. If the same hunter generates melody effects, the effect will also appear on the cocoon. and it will also do a sonic wave that damages monsters near it. What I can tell from this description, it's more or less like a combination of the new songs that came out for World Iceborne. So for those of you who have played the Hunting Horn, you'll know that there is the Echo Wave. I mean, after you do the Spinny Horn move, there is an Echo Wave, and then there is also another one where you can provide a buff. But when you play that buff, it actually spawns a bubble that any one of the other hunters can run into to get the buff. So as far as I can tell, this Beat of Resonance Silkbind is more or less like a combination of the two. So when you play a melody effect, you'll get a bubble from the cocoon, and then also the cocoon will let off a echo wave. Bow gameplay looking pathetic as usual, but it's a little bit better than the previous bow showcases. They're not just standing in place, holding up a charge and then shooting once and then skip on to the next scene. At least this is better. As for the heavy bowgun user, at least it looks like heavy bowgun. It will appear that this is a new counter that they can do. So what happens is that if you time it well enough, I don't know if this Silkbind grants you hyper armor or just straight up iframes, but when you time this well enough, you get sort of a counter, and then you get to reload maybe some sort of special ammo. I don't know how useful this will be because the reload animation seems kind of long. I mean, I guess it's better than reloading and taking damage, right? So possibly there's some use, but I am no heavy bowgun user. All of you heavy bowgun users, maybe you'll find a use for it that I possibly won't. Now the next one with Tetranodon, I find a little bit interesting. Because okay, in one cutscene, the hunter gets knocked down, but in the next one, it looks like the hunter is still down, but Tetranodon is able to still do extra damage to the hunter. Now this could mean one of two things. Either that Tetranodon is able to has a specific move that is able to ignore the invincibility when the hunter is lying down, or number two, it's just that you are no longer invincible when you're lying down. I want to think that it's the former, but we'll have to see. I haven't played enough Rise to confirm whether or not we have invincibility while lying down, but I'm inclined to believe that it's the former. Now Greatsword, they get a new attack. So apparently when you assume this stance, you don't get any flinch or knockback, and then you can counter with an attack while the monster is staying still after its attack. After the little bit of storytelling and running montage, we get to see a dual blades player. So apparently they have a Silkbind move that allows them to pull themselves upwards into the air, and then after that they get to Beyblade down the spine of the monster again, like we were able to in WoW. And I just have to say that those dual blades, it looks perfect. It looks absolutely perfect. Now the next one with what I assume is a insect glyph. I genuinely cannot tell if this is an enraged Rajang or a furious Rajang. I don't know which one it is, but either way they give me nightmares. But if we take a look at the new insect glyph move, apparently they can send the bug out and it does a flurry of attacks, which I don't think I've ever seen before. But that looks like it could have some DPS potential, and honestly it just looks really cool. Now this is something that I didn't notice when I first watched this through, but if my eyes are not deceiving me, yeah, they're not. Oh my god. Okay, so apparently the bow also has some sort of counter move. Because if you take a close look, if I go frame by frame, you can see a familiar blue glow around the bow hunter, which you might have seen if you play the longsword. So I think there's some sort of input that you can use to dodge the attacks, and then if you time it well enough, you actually get to avoid the attack and counter the monster with an arrow slash right to its face right there. And then following that, we get to go into the power shot and the power volley. Now that, I love it. I love it. That is something, that's a very subtle thing, but I love it. Because bow has always been it's always been a very agile weapon for those very aggressive bow players. They've always tried to time their dodges very well. So for those of us bow mains out there, if you manage to time your dodges perfectly, we might be able to make use of our dodges to do DPS. And oh my god, I love it. Now for this next scene with a charge blade user, it looks like Savage X is back. And you know what? It actually looks a lot deadlier than it did in World. Because the initial impact, it like kinda gets stuck on one area and lets the spinning shield cut through the monster. Oh my god, I love the effects. I love the effects. I mean, the visual effects in World was already really satisfying, but this one, shit. And then the next one with I presume a light bowgun. It looks like they are able to use a wire bar to slide off to the side, fire off a shot, and then dodge again to reload. And then I think just the heavy bowgun really got did dirty. The heavy bowgun really got did dirty in this one. He's just standing there and shooting the Kuluyaku. Oh man, they got did real dirty. Then the next one, we get to see more from the Rampage. Oh my god, that Apex Lazarus looks absolutely terrifying, because if you take a look closely, he actually jumps from basically one end of the map straight towards you. Like shit, that has got to be scary. And then jumping on from that, there is some sort of dragon razor looking thingy, but instead of shooting out like a harpoon, it shoots out some kind of bomb. And in the very next scene, you can see it's essentially just a fucking nuke. It's essentially a nuke, and I'm here for it. I want to be the one to launch this nuke. I don't care what anybody says. I want to be one of the people who launches this nuke. Look at that! Oh my god, that's awesome. And then following that, we get to see a turf war between Mizutsune and Zenoga. Now, this one is clearly new, because it looks like the Serene pose that we got to use, but I can't tell if that's actually Serene pose, but the following moves after that, these are definitely new. So the hunter steps forward to do a wide slash, a downward slash, and then doing a 180 and slashing again. The amount of style and flair behind that longsword clip. Oof. And then of course, at the very end of this trailer, we get to see a new monster. A brand new monster. And I'm inclined to think that this is on the Elder Dragon level, but a lot of veteran hunters out there have at the very least, picked up on the resemblance to an older monster named, what was it? Amatsu? I don't know what the monster looks like, so I'm gonna put it up when I'm editing this and then have them side by side. But apparently there's been some sort of resemblance between the two monsters, but still different monsters. Now what I think is that this is the same monster that we get to see in the lava caverns. So if you take a look at the website on one of the screenshots for the lava caverns, you can see there is a monster skull hanging from the ceiling, and you can see that there's a double jaw. And then if you look back at the monster that was just shown in the trailer, it also has a double jaw with a lot of thin, long, sharp teeth. Is it the same monster? I don't know, but it definitely has a strong resemblance, at least to me. So that was it for the trailer, but there is still a lot more info later on in the digital event. Now, following the trailer, they just give sort of like a recap on what the wirebug is, but in this same section, they started talking about switch skills. So these are essentially the new moves that we got to see in the trailer earlier on. So like I shown earlier for like the sword and shield, right? Notice that in the first line, it says that it can be switched out with windmill, and I also mentioned in the hunting horn part, it can be switched out with Earthshaker. So switch skills essentially lets you swap out certain moves for another one. I don't think this applies only for silkbind moves, because if we take a look a little bit later when they show the gun lens, you can swap out your charge shelling with the blast dash. If you remember, right, when you use the blast dash, it doesn't have any wire bar surrounding you that is typical of a silkbind attack. So what I'm guessing is that there are certain regular attacks that you can switch out, and also one silkbind move that you can switch out. And I think that is absolutely amazing, because you're not tied to just one play style for each weapon. So if we assume that there are only two styles for now, so one is the style that we got to play in the demo, and then the second style forces you to change out certain regular attacks and the silkbind move. Technically, you have 28 different ways to play the game already. And after that, more recap on the wyvern riding, recap on the palamutes and pellicles and just your buddies in general. And then after that, they go through the 5 locales that we have available. I mean, I'm kind of sad that we don't have like a unique map to rise. If you watch my previous video, one of my points was that I hope to see a map that is unique to Rise, and I'm kind of sad that that didn't come true. But hey, each of the maps are still incredibly beautiful, and I am still gonna explore the shit out of all of them. Now, the exciting thing about this digital event, they gave a more inside look to the rampage. So if you take a look at the gameplay, you'll notice that we start off in a special map that is unique to the rampage itself, and then we also get to run around the map and put down these special hunting installations that are also unique to the rampage. And there are also different kinds of installations. So if we look back again on the website, there are 3 different types of installations. So one of it is the man type, which is like your ballista and cannons, which we have all used in WoW. So you have to be on the installation and fire it manually. Then there's the auto type, which activates automatically in certain cases. So basically when monsters go near, like within range of those auto type installations, it will fire at the monsters. And then there is also a limited supply type. So these are, I assume, are going to be like the Dragonator level kind of installations. So they are like one-shot users and then have some kind of cooldown. And then if you take a look on the at the whole UI in general, starting off from the top left corner, we have a timer. I'm not sure what this timer is gonna represent, but I assume that we have to take down the monsters of each wave within this timer. And then if we look under the monster icons, we see new icons, or even hovering over the monsters themselves. We have some kind of new icon. So there's a blue one showing a broken gate. I would assume that this monster is going to be the one that specifically will target the gate. Just attempting to tear it down, because that's the whole point of the rampage. And then the other two, I'm not so sure. Okay, this is just all speculation, alright? The green one with the short type, that short type look, I'm going to assume that monsters with this icon are going to target your installations. Because if you look right next to the installation itself, there's some sort of health bar, and I would assume that the monsters can destroy your installations to make them unusable. I don't know if it's going to be unusable throughout the entire rampage. I would assume so. Or if you can dedicate one person to go and try to repair it or something, who knows. And then the monsters with the red color fang icon, I would assume that those will target the players themselves. So if that is the case, there will be a lot of things to juggle, and I don't know how 4 players are gonna juggle all this. But strategies, that's what tower defense is all about. And then if we take a look over to the bottom left on the map, you can see the layout of the map. So those squares, I would assume, are where your installations are, because that's also where the hunters are. And then there is a thick gate and like a thin gate. So I would assume there are 2 different gates that the monsters have to take down. And you see they snake across all the possible installation points. Because you get to see the whole layout of the map, I assume that we are going to have to plan very carefully about which installations and where we put them. And then on top of that, you can see a whole list of objectives. So stuff like inflict status ailment, repel using cannon, gather drop materials, blah blah blah. I am assuming that the more objectives we clear, the better the rewards we get. Assuming that we actually fend off the rampage itself. And then there is also this thing called a counter signal. So the counter signal, it's only mentioned very briefly in the trailer, but if we take a look over on the website itself, when the counter signal is activated, all hunters get raring to go and gain a significant increase in their attack. It's time to pick up your weapon and get up close and personal. So the counter signal is basically a huge temporary attack boost. And then the part that some people are probably wondering is whether or not the counter signal is activated automatically, or if it can be activated manually. Now the answer to that is both. There is a gong that you can probably set up in one of the installation points. So it looks like you can manually activate the counter signal yourself by striking the gong, or if the counter signal hasn't been activated yet by a certain point, it will activate automatically on its own. So you can use this to plan out your attacks as well. So there's a lot of strategies that you can come up with in the Rampage. And then also, in addition to the Apex monsters that we got to see in the previous trailer, there are also powerful monsters known as major threats that are going to appear in the Rampage. So there will be regular monsters, major threat monsters, and Apex monsters. I assume in this ascending order of danger. And you can also see that the major threats and the Apex monsters also have a bigger body size. So like you can see, I would assume that these Great Izuchis are the major threats, and you can see they are way bigger. These Great Izuchis are way bigger compared to the ones you see in the demo. Now, something that I might have been mistaken about earlier on, the monsters with the red fang icon could potentially mean major threats, and not, you know, targeting the player specifically, because you can see in front over here there is a major threat Great Izuchi, and it also has the red color fang. I mean, it's entirely possible that these major threats specifically go for the hunters as well, but I think more so the red fang signifies a major threat. And then you can also see Apex Azuros has a special pink icon around it. So I would assume that the pink icon specifically means that there is a Apex monster. Now this whole thing gives me a very strong tower defense kind of vibe, and personally I love it. I thoroughly enjoy tower defense, but I can see that there's gonna be a very split kind of opinion on this whole style. I think Capcom is just trying to test out and see how well this whole tower defense mechanic in the game is gonna get taken. And you know, if it gets a lot of bad reviews, they'll probably take it out in the future installments of the game. But I think that just really depends on how Capcom plays this whole thing out. Depending on how they do it, people will love it or they will completely hate it. It's hard to imagine that there's gonna be an in-between kind of opinion. Following the Rampage, we get a little bit more details about the features. So first off is the quest list. There are village quests and there are hub quests. Now I'm going to assume that village quests can only be done solo, and then only in hub quests can the quest be done in multiplayer. Otherwise there really isn't that much of a point in separating the two, right? But the thing that I'm wondering is that if there are different progressions between the two types of quests. So, you know, like your assigned quest in WoW, you have to complete one before you can unlock the next one. I don't know if the same is going to apply for the hub quest specifically. Village quest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but for hub quest, I don't know if there is a progression for it, or if it's sort of like the event quest that we got in WoW. Everything will be unlocked as long as you reach the required hunter rank. And then following that, you also see that you now have a shortcut for the quest board. You no longer have to run to the quest board to look up the quest. Now you can just use the shortcut wherever you are to join whatever quest that is available for you to join in. They have also announced that there is a difficulty scaling depending on the number of players in the quest. So more players means more difficulty, less players means less difficulty. So let's say you initially had 3 players and then a 4th player joins in, the quest difficulty will go up. Like there's no surprise there. But if there are 4 players in the quest originally and maybe one person decides to abandon the quest, or maybe they disconnected and drops down to 3 players, the quest difficulty will actually scale down to the 3-player difficulty. And just like in WoW, you can also fire an SOS flare. I mean, you send your owl out. It's not exactly firing an SOS flare, but they do the same thing. And then following that, there is apparently this light function that exists in this game. Some of you might have already seen it in the hunt with Bishaten that was released not too long ago. So apparently with this whole system, you can send likes to other players, and if that same player sends a like back to you, you'll be able to find these hunters under a mutual likes tab when you're looking for lobbies, and then you can hunt again with the hunters that you have previously liked before. Now there's also a camera feature that lets you take photos during your hunts. Now I'm equal parts happy and scared about this one because I'm keeping all my fingers crossed. Please, 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 please do not let photo quest become a thing again in this game. Please no. Please. I hated the photo quest. I'm fine with the photo quests that are in the village itself, but to take photos of the monsters out in the field, it's not something that I would do. I don't know if there are a lot of people who actually like the photo quest thingy back in WoW, but I didn't. So I'm hoping this is just like a special thing that allows you to take special screenshots and stuff, sort of like a view mode, Now towards the end, there is a new announcement that demo version 2 is coming out for Rise, coming this Friday? No, this Thursday, March 11. And in this new demo, you actually get to fight Magnamalo himself. I don't know if the switch skills are gonna be a thing yet. I assume no, but the main thing is you get to fight Magnamalo and practice up against him. Now at the end, we have yet another trailer. Oh my god. This whole digital event is just full of information and trailers. So with this trailer, they announced another new monster and also a free title update that is coming as soon as April. In this update, we get to see a new monster that is named Camillus. Now apparently this is an old monster that has appeared in the older installations of the game, but I have never seen it for myself, and it looks like it can go invisible and blend into the surroundings. Now I just know there will be some sort of telltale sign that it's there, like some sort of warping, but I think this fight is going to be very interesting. I highly doubt it will be like 100% transparent without any sort of warping. If not, you wouldn't know where the monster's coming from. But I think even if it was, it would be kind of interesting. Equal parts interesting and frustrating. But with the free title update that they just announced, not only will there be Camillus, but there will also be several new monsters that they have yet to announce. And also apparently you get an unlocked HR cap and related features. I don't know what that means, but probably in the initial release of the game, your hunter rank will be capped because there'll be limited things to do. The game just released, and then once you get the free title update, there'll be new monsters that you can hunt, but you have to increase your hunter rank cap to be able to hunt those monsters. But that is gonna be it for this video. I highly doubt I'm gonna be able to release this before the trailer tonight. I mean the new event that's happening tonight. Sadly, I won't be able to be there because of work, so I have to watch the replay of it afterwards. But that was a lot of information that was thrown to us in just a span of 26 minutes in the digital event, and it's just a lot to unpack. So I'm fully expecting this video to be extremely long, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that anyway, and hopefully you managed to notice something that you didn't previously before. And if you've noticed things that I didn't, feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'll have a little chat about it. Enjoy the hype together. But for now, that'll be it. I will see you guys likely, I mean hopefully tomorrow, where I'll probably do another video on tonight's digital event. And yeah, hope you guys are as hyped for Rise as I am. And as always, happy hunting, hunters.